Okay.
We'll go straight into the treasurer's report.
Okay, so for last year, we ended up at the end of the year bringing in a total of $96,130.35. $27,637 of that is from back dues. 27,637 of that
Will
96,000.
you repeat those numbers one more time? I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
wasn't quick enough.
total income for last year was $96,130.35. Of that, $27,637.34 was from back dues that we brought in.
Thanks.
We ended up with our total expenses at $93,984.24. So overall, we still came out at positive $2,146.11. And most years probably won't have some of the expenses high, just simply as we had things like the roof had to be replaced and it had such major issues and a couple other things that aren't normal improvements that just had to be done. So that expense is still higher. Even when I did the annual budget, that expense is still higher by quite a bit compared to what expected. Now, the road fund, we spent a total of $28,620.81 in road repairs of 2024, and we only brought in $13,797.23. And obviously that
How
was
much, brought in how much?
$13,797.23.
Is that about average?
Yeah.
But we're not in the negative on the roads funds, that's just, what we,
That's,
we
yeah,
should, we
correct.
still have a positive.
Yes,
What
we
do we have in the
Yeah,
account?
and I've
Oh,
got
sorry.
that. You know, you're okay. Right now in the general funds, we have $135,203.88. And then the road fund, $16,393.97. So yeah, even on the road fund, we're still positive in it right now. Now, for this year, up to this morning, we have brought in $1,200. So we've already had some, and I should have all the dues ready, figure out a way by March 1st. For everyone, the dues for 25.
I got a quick question.
Mhm.
Just your opinion, I guess. The money we're bringing in from like back stuff and all that, that's not, I mean, that's eventually gonna run out. I
Yeah,
know it's a
that's-
shot in the dark.
Yes, even when I did the 2025 budget, I think I only planned for like us bringing in like $9,000, cause that was mine. Yes, the last basically 4 years, we brought in at least
Yeah.
20,000 every year.
Yeah.
But it's it's not something we can logically plan on as a business to get in back owed money, cause it's not always guaranteed.
You kinda answered my question, 9,000. I was just kinda like, what like I said, shot in the dark.
I think we.
How long do you think we'll be getting things like this? Because these are great. I mean,
Yeah. I don't, as long as, the biggest thing obviously that falls into the what if, sadly, I hate doing that.
I'm sorry.
No, I know, but it's the realistic of the conversation. It all depends on your future boards. As long as you have boards that are saying, you know, we're gonna focus on improving things, making sure the general basis is happy with your board, that they're doing their best interest for the community, and then that allows us to be able to get money. As long as you've got boards continuing in that manner, I think you can count another 2 or 3 years of at least 20,000, cause
We should get more.
that's one of those things it's an ugly topic of, you know, when everyone brings up the delinquency list, the 290,000. I mean, every month for the last 5 or 6 months, we brought in like 2,000 every month, and you're like, oh, it barely went down. Well, yeah, because some of these owed in the late fees and that percentages, every month it incurs. So you keep adding on that you'll always have that until that's that, not.
I'm getting a better, refined list of ones that we're going after too, that we're doing like taking legal action with. And instead of just going after something that is not as valuable and maybe we can only get $1,000 at the auction for, that if we're going after something where it's got a trailer on it and it's been sitting, it's got septic, we can get better auction money for it. And if that's the case, and if we're I saw some of the ones that we got this last like quarter, and they were like $3,000, you know, or something worth of stuff, you know, but if we've got lots that we can auction off starting at $4,000 and we go 4 or 5 of those, I bet you we'll be at where we are for last year, halfway through the year.
Okay.
I would think, and there's plenty of, I mean, if we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to dues to go after, I mean, we can look at different ways to do it, but I started looking at it and was like, well, why don't we go after the things that we can get the most money out of, because we're trying to get this debt cleared, you know, and so, I mean, we could take a poll with everybody, I mean, if we don't have, a quorum at the meeting, we can still take a poll and see what people say as far as whether they'd rather us go after the people that have been the most delinquent, which are probably gonna take the longest, and we're gonna spend the most with the attorney.
Yeah.
Or just go after ones that might be the most lucrative for us to go after, which makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
A lot with all the utilities on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can start that at
4,000, 5,000.
yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, now, I mean,
Yeah, 'cause you gotta think,
Just sewage put one in.
Yeah.
83 to
Yeah.
do septic and water.
Septic and water, yeah. So you're- I
And
mean,
I think it's a good plan to do those as the focus, I just think it has to always be delivered. You can't make that as the only focus, because then it gives room for anyone to say your board isn't being equally fair. Why, you know, someone's gonna look at it and say,
being discriminatory
yes,
or,
you're being discriminative because my property's
bargaining or
worth
whatever.
money, I only go $2,000, they go $4,000, but you're gonna have to make because my property's worth more. You're
Makes
just,
sense,
yeah, so you have to still make sure that you're going at all of them.
Mhm.
But I think
Well, yeah.
it's like, if there's a lean of, a side where you're leaning on, okay, my focus is on, like, I'm gonna file something on these, but I'm calling regularly.
We could easily pick one from every demographic and do that, and just the valuable one will cancel out everything else and make it work.
Yeah, well, that's-
We could just do that and just say, we're gonna hit the one that owes the most, one that's the most valuable, the one that, usually pays but isn't paying, I don't know, whatever it is.
I think it's just like, just in general, I think the point I was getting at is, you have to make sure to file something on all of them, you can't just be bouncing.
Show action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could hit
Sure.
Like I said, now, by all means, if you're filing on all of them, but you're making calls every week on these, that's fine, cause you at least filed on those ones.
Yeah, okay, cool. And, you have anything else in there? Motion to accept the treasurer's report? Second.
All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. All right, going to the pools, so these are my work in the bathrooms, we got really cold temperatures, got no water line issues. Everything stays thawed out, in the water closet on the outside there. We wanna, start moving toward what we're gonna do for next year as far as the gate. And start rolling on that. I know Brandon looked at some locks. Are we gonna do that gate that's already there? And extend the fence up on the entry side, or?
It's with that system that I found we were talking about, that's what you have to do, yeah. You could use the same one.
I wanna start working toward that. And I know in the past, you've talked to insurance about our liability as far as, no attendant, as long as we have it posted.
Yeah, I've
No
got,
lifeguard, there's,
I'd have to find them, but I've got emails about that I actually checked, cause that's the topic.
right.
Our insurance flat said we are at 0 risk to being dropped on any of those topics. That literally when I asked her, do we have to have someone there as an attendant? She goes, I don't know why you would, but she even called, the actual primary company and asked them. They checked and they're like, no, as long as you have the general pool stuff of no lifeguard on duty, so what's your risk, just post your rules. She goes, you're good on those things because it's your general thing, sure, you need to have like, don't run around the, you know, the no running sign on the ground. As long as you've got no running, yeah, you're good, because you get into like a fence. If someone jumps a fence, you don't have a liability on jumping a fence. A fence is there saying, don't jump it. You can put basic signs outside saying, don't jump.
And I think that'd be a good idea, but.
Now-
More signs that say no lifeguard, more signs.
Yeah, and it probably, if you went that route, the big board that has the rules outside of, like, the bathrooms, it's probably good to get a second one of those, which isn't expensive.
We talked about it too on that same
Put it on
note,
the inside.
revising those rules
Yeah.
too.
Well, I know there was somebody in the neighborhood before that was willing to paint signs, and I think they got turned away because they were told at the time they wanted something more professional, that's what they were looking for, so, I don't know, they'd still be interested in doing some signs, but, you know, the signs coming in with the swim and all that stuff that, you know, kind of, homemade signs like that that look good, kind of give character to the neighborhood, I wouldn't have a problem if they were willing to paint that stuff on the signs.
Yeah, as long as it's not gonna be some crazy amount.
Yeah.
We can't just get decals or something, or
Right.
do it ourselves. I mean, I can get some stencils.
I don't even know if there was gonna be a charge on it or.
Yeah, whatever, it's whatever.
We can investigate that too.
I've heard Jack mention even, you know, you can get a banner, and banners on it.
Yeah, you get
Aren't, they're not crazy
Not last
expensive.
years, you know.
So maybe on that, you wanna like, by next board meeting, we ought all come up with different things that we wanna add to the rules and take away from the rules, and then we can talk about it at the next board meeting, so that way we can kinda, by the time it's time to open it up, we've got a revised thing, we've got the sign made, instead of like make a sign for something we wanted to change like 2 weeks later.
I'll commit to having like a cost on what the lock and the gating and all that stuff's gonna. We'll look out on that. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause they've got just extenders for those, you don't have to like totally tear that fence down, they've got just extenders for.
I've got a hammer drill too, we can get it that from, whatever.
You may not have to, because they're already in, they may just extend
Extended,
it.
extended, it sits on top.
Where the gate is?
I think you can extend it 4 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about taking the one off the door and putting it over there.
No, just
Cause
what-
that one's got the flat instead of the round, cause that's, I thought, that we talked about before, is because it's on that 2-inch round pipe,
they
and
actually,
like how we're gonna put that
I actually found
heat code thing
I
on
s-
that round.
first, cause back like August, I found that they were made for the railroad.
Oh, okay, see, I didn't know we found it.
I sent an email to everybody.
And then at the PLA meeting, I'm gonna start looking at volunteers for pool help. Basically, they, you know, if I get a group together, they're not gonna have to sit up there all day, but we've got to keep a good log and water tests on a regular basis, keep that, because that's safety, better swimming.
And we're no longer regulated under the state health department.
But it's, you know, still, I don't wanna get over-chlorinated, under-chlorinated.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Stuff like that, so, you know, I think that log, if it's in there, is kinda, where'd you write what, where, cause it's not really, you know, just make a new one, just a spreadsheet.
Everything.
Yeah, so they can log the numbers that they actually got, know where.
Oh, yeah,
Do you still have the, scuba diver people's number?
I don't have their number, but I was gonna.
Chief.
Yeah.
I would say you might call them too, because one, since we still, I think when he talked to me at the end of the summer, I know he stopped at the store mentioned, he was gonna want to
Yeah,
review.
he's still on, last time I talked to him.
Yeah,
he's still
and it
on.
might be one, he may have some experience in that, but it may be something you can work out on the days that he's using it, make it part of like the agreement that,
I would.
if he knows how to do the chemicals.
I think they really shy away from that, I just didn't want anything to do with it.
I would just check, see, if he has it, I'd just say, hey, look, you know, just gonna be part of the agreement, that way we don't have.
Yeah,
since you're
either
there.
that or we can throw in the cost of them renting it, that we're getting somebody to do that.
Yeah.
To maintain that a little bit, or some part of it anyways, you know, even if like we're taking that money and paying somebody, then, you know, I don't know, whatever.
They kept calling out volunteers.
thought it was gonna be slow right now, and I've got like 9 jobs going right now, so I'm like, we want
Yeah,
this.
so I've got weekends, I can come up and do it on weekends,
I promise you, they're not gonna mow it summer, they're not gonna want to mow it, you see
No.
how they left it.
Yeah, I mean, the one guy already flat said he one couldn't do it for anymore, he quit, and then I know he's actually pretty much shut his mold business down permanently. And then the other one, like you said, exactly said, they had an issue and they just left it half.
keeps different people on money, that will keep it in, so. That's just my personal. He still owes me $20.
I would definitely, anything that's like that large of a purchase, I'd wanna shop it around for a while
Oh,
and make
yeah.
sure we get the best deal and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe even see what's the, does it benefit us more to just rent one for the summer? You know, like once a week, or once a month, you know, or something like,
I mean, you don't have to go.
and then not have to maintain it ever, huh?
I mean, if you just go get like a standard riding mower. You're probably,
I mean, that's what, that that's out there will do it, it's just.
I just don't know,
if you're talking about $1,000, $1,200,
yeah. I don't know.
versus, you know, I know
5,000.
the other guy said he was gonna want like anywhere from $100 to $200 every 2 weeks. You get through the summer, you already spent more paying him than you would.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about paying somebody a job, I'm talking about would it be cheaper for us to just rent one versus maintain one all year, you know?
Can you just rent?
I don't know, you can rent everything else, you think?
I've
I have no
never-
idea.
you can.
We just have to shop it around.
There's the investigation we're looking at.
Yeah, that's not, I didn't think, never thought of it, can you?
I would think so, I don't know, that, you know.
So that's all I got on school today. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Jack, roads?
I was gonna rent some equipment, but, cold weather kinda kept me doing that. And then we got a chance, a lot of rain coming up here next week or so, probably February, I got a couple ideas, I'm gonna try on the road with that piece of equipment, but, they're not in horrible shape, we got one or two that's still issues down there, off of Rawhide and stuff, that one is, I can't think of that one that Don probably knows, one was rusted through, when we replaced the tin horn, that part of it's washed out. But, that's about the one that's really bad, and the other roads are, they're a little rough, but they did okay, they fared pretty well. Then I talked to, Mike down there at the, District 3 on December 6th, and, just introduced myself, since we couldn't never meet, he's gone, I'm gone, and he's really nice, and we talked, he said he gets complaints all the time, I said, just turn them to me. I said, there's no reason for them to be calling you on dirt roads that you don't maintain, and, cause they really get aggravated about it. And now, as far as the blacktops and Ocean County roads, people complain about them, but anyway, we had a good talk, and then the next day he was out here, and then they put in a little bit of patch on the forest. Still, I'd like to see it blacktop.
Was that patch?
I was wondering if that was them or
That's
not.
just
It's not a patch, it's
Looks
a
like
crusher run.
Yeah.
It's better
You'll have
than,
to drive on it for
yeah,
a few weeks and then come in with the grader and lightly scrape it off and
Yeah.
flatten it out, cause
It's rough right now, I noticed it coming up.
and I talked to him, I said, you know, I got a couple areas I need them to put, some culverts on, down there off of, Canyon Rock. And, there's 2 roads there that needs it to go under the pavement, and, where we can quit, getting all that gravel washed off the roads there. Butterfield, that road there, and the one next to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, he kinda was, I got to meet back up with him, I talked to him some more about that, and, then he said he was gonna talk to Cliff, and see what else they could do. And that is all of that.
Okay, last month we discussed about, we have to do evaluations of the lots, the cars, all that stuff, and nobody was able to make that. That's fine, we've talked also about that when we discussed at the last meeting, that we were just gonna go look at the cars, but then at this meeting, at the BOA, we could talk to everybody, kinda get a poll and see what they think is the most, the biggest issue, you know, whether it's trash or, building violations or, cars that are stranded, you know, whatever it is, and see, just kinda, so it's not just us 5 deciding on that,
How long do
so
you
then-
wanna wait here tonight?
Huh?
How long do you wanna be here tonight?
Well, we can just just take a poll, we got the 3 or 4 things, unless somebody's got something
Yeah,
else,
just a
you
poll,
know,
yeah.
I mean, I don't need, we don't need an explanation, I
I'm
mean, we just need, show of hands, you know, but, so there's that, new properties, I'm still going over a couple, I don't wanna, try to press anything or file something and then find out the person's dead again, you know, or anything like that, so I'm still working on that, and I've been kinda busy honestly too, but, that's pretty much, with the exception of, yeah, there's other, like we've got, things, if you see somebody that's bringing something in, you might notify them, notify me or something, because I'm still getting people bringing stuff in and building stuff without getting approval first, you know, so.
Yeah, the one I talked to, I showed you, they said they were wanting to move an existing carport somewhere,
Uh-huh.
and then they wanna bring a tiny home in,
Sure.
and they gave the dimensions of tiny home, it meant, you know, I told them, I was like, you gotta put architectural control for me for that building.
Uh-huh.
It's, you gotta make sure the easements are there, the building's big enough for the 900 square foot, so.
600.
600.
Yeah, 600 square foot.
Out of all the people, everybody's gotten back and done their forms except for one, and I haven't had time to follow up with them, but, one of the people I've called, left messages, they've been like, hey, I just need to talk with you about the stuff in there, and it's just kinda ghosted, so, I don't know.
And I just, like I said, when I talked to them, I made sure they knew, doesn't matter what, what you're doing, yeah. Even though the carport's existing, you're still moving it from here to here, you need to put an architectural control form for easement, offsets and that stuff. Same with the building, you gotta get the building approved, easement offsets, so they know all that, and, hopefully they'll,
Fly.
yeah. I told them they need to do it all before they start doing work, so.
Yeah, I don't know, does anybody have any questions about any of that, or anything they want me to address, or?
Casey on?
Sure.
During, due to recent events, Don wanted to make it, and I don't really know how to make it like kind of a public policy or whatnot, but anytime there's a 911 call that gets made, try to make it a habit of giving security a heads up in order to lend whatever hand they can.
Somebody that.
Kind and I would really like to keep pursuing, I've got the prices and everything, the AED machines.
That's a trauma bag thing we're talking about, or?
I mean, the
I-
trauma bag is a
okay.
different thing, it would go along with it.
IED?
AED.
AED, okay.
It's an automatic like,
Defibrillator.
yeah,
Yeah.
defibrillation device.
Short back so it stops.
They range from 500 to 2,000, they average from 12 to 18. I really want a discussion on, like I said, at least having one centralized within the neighborhood. And, this thought just kinda came to me as well. I think it'd be smart to reach out to Lifelight and see if we can't see what it would cost to do a whole neighborhood coverage and have that included with our dues and membership. Like
What
just-
is Lifelight?
Huh?
What is the Lifelight?
What's that?
It's insurance or like a membership for helicopter. You're messed up and you gotta take a ride with the helicopter,
Yeah,
that's 30 to 50,000, or
yeah, right.
it's a very expensive ride.
Yeah,
But if you have a membership, it's
they do a deal where you can buy a membership and
like $300 a year or something.
Oh, that's not bad, but I wonder if they would let that be inclusive for 800 members.
I'm sure, I mean, it's insurance, they're all about
Yeah.
doing stuff like that.
Be
I don't know, they've landed out here a few times now though, so.
Yeah, they-
I'd say they've landed out here a few times.
They
though.
got
So,
over here.
it'd be
So far.
it'd be something if you can get, at the end of the day, it's
Get
one.
some prices, but it's
If you
just
just-
something that came to me.
Yeah, if you can get the numbers, we can then propose it to the members, cause it's something they would have, since it's a
Yes.
private ad, they'd have to vote on it.
But, I mean, if we could, to me, that would, it would be
Something
a
general.
substantial increase to dues, but it'd also be like a selling point, like, hey, you're getting this out of this.
Yeah,
now.
generally helping everybody.
Lifelight?
Lifelight, and I'm assuming that would follow, like, if this is
Life.
somebody's secondary lake
Lifelight.
house or whatnot. a membership's a membership is a membership like AAA, so.
Yeah, if you do it individually, it does, ours,
Yeah, you
Around
couldn't
on the side
have
of the
like
road.
for the neighborhood, it's just like one in, you know what I mean? That's why I was wondering, but they might give you a deal and say,
That's,
yeah, so I don't know. So we can propose it to, PTA.
like I said, I'll do my homework, it's just something while we were talking that came to me, but.
Yeah, that's good.
Sounds like help everyone.
So, yeah.
But that's all I got on security.
Anything else here? So we're going to old business, discussing about the bylaws committee. And we kinda already talked about the, other one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know,
That was, I think,
I'd say we just start reaching out for members, and, I mean, we talked about it this TOA meeting.
sure.
And,
I'll see
get
the
the ball
reason.
rolling on that, and
I would say
I
reason why.
think, like I said, I think, you know, maybe four people on the committee, and then possibly two others for proofreading. You know, after the committee gets the section done, they can hand it over here, they can proofread it, make sure, everything's right, but, you know, then again, any wording changes on anything will have to be voted
Mhm.
by the members, so. We'll have to kinda keep an eye on what kind of changes, maybe have the committee look over, what they wanna do and give us, you know, give us an idea what they wanna do and then see if we go forward with it, because if it's gonna be, you know, every quarter, we're voting on 30 word changes in the bylaws, is it worth it? So.
And then I'm not sure if I'm clear on that too, like if you were to, so like you're saying, so there's word changes and then we'd have to vote on that, but what if it's just like, this thing right here, let's just strike that from the bylaws altogether, we're gonna have to vote on that too?
If-
You know,
If anything
If you
changes
change-
on them, you have to have
Okay.
a 75%.
if you change the word "the" to "to," it's in the bylaws of the members.
Yeah.
voting on it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, I
You
can
could-
see the changing, I just wasn't sure
Yeah,
if
you
you
could
were
literally,
omitting.
yeah, even just omitting like the letter D.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's-
So
literally-
that's what gets me, is these, there's incomplete sentences.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Left out, there's,
Yeah.
I don't know how it got passed the first time.
I think some of them may be just
Well, I don't think-
times changed, someone just retyped
I
it.
mean, everywhere
Just
you
the
look,
words.
there's errors all through it.
And I don't know how they did it, if they have anybody, but
I don't
that's,
either.
that's where it's important when you do something like that, to have somebody else proofread it.
Yeah.
That way, you got, not the people that wrote it, and, you know, they're looking over the mistake that they made, they're human, they're gonna make a mistake, but then the other person says, oh, wait a minute.
That's,
up
you know,
here.
how do we complete that,
Yeah.
that sentence, it's,
Yeah, that's what's filed in the county,
I
so.
don't know.
And then the restrictions
Yeah.
as well need to be redone.
It's gonna take some time, we need to get started on it.
Yeah, the restriction, well, the restrictions are, I don't know if you would have to, we'd have to see what needs to be done, but, or if it needed to be voted on, but the way they're written now, you start reading a paragraph and then realize, oh, it was rewritten down here.
Yeah.
And there's no striking of the sentences above
Well,
to
and
tell
that-
somebody that they're not reading it, and then we have somebody arguing over a
Oh,
restriction that's
yeah.
been changed.
Yeah, now, there's nothing against if somebody was able to sit down, at the same time, that, like, they only be rewritten, like, errors fixed. There's nothing against someone sitting there with a computer, grabbing all of the original bylaws to every time that there's been a change, and just typing it in a document with, where you don't have the strikeout of what's been changed.
Right.
If it's just this, you could label it, this is the current bylaws, you know, and you can still put wording, always refer to, you know, what books and section are in county, state, so they can look, but that's just a base document.
Yeah.
Because then it, like you said, then it doesn't have the four X outs, or where you said it says, did read, amended to read, and you gotta go, well, I read it 3 times, and now I gotta read the 4th one to figure out what it actually says right here.
Not to just totally go off trail, but how, just in my hooked on phonics version of law, how in the world, like, some of these documents, like I said, it's just been photocopied to where half of it's missing, or part of it's cut off or what. I would argue that would have a hard time holding up in court if anything really started getting pushed push came to shove, I guess what I'm,
I know what you're saying.
and like, not that at all that I wanna pursue or look into or anything like that, because God only knows what that costs, but that also needs to be kinda floating in the back of everybody's mind, especially this board and everything. This legal document might not have any legality to it whatsoever, just because it's so jacked up.
I
But one
honestly
question-
wonder if it does anyways, based on actions of previous boards and whatever.
Again, I'm not
Waive
trying to
rules,
derail the
all
whole
this other stuff.
damn conversation,
Well,
but
I know that, and I'm not either,
I
but I'm
just
saying,
think,
like,
I agree.
we'd have to talk to attorney and say, can we even do anything with this, if we really wanted to get down to that, but I don't know.
Where it would stop there is you wouldn't be able to go back on the previous boards to,
Set a precedent.
to like go after the previous board for making that.
No, not to go after it, but I'm saying,
Right.
how can we enforce
Because
paying
that's-
dues if we waive, if some of the previous boards waived it? Or how can we enforce,
Well,
say you
yeah.
can't bring this trailer in because it's not big enough, when some of the other
You know
people
what I'm saying
waived
is
it?
we can't
You know what I
answer.
mean,
to
I can't answer that, 'cause I'm an
Yeah.
attorney.
We can't answer to what previous boards did or didn't do, all we can do is follow the bylaws as they're written,
Right.
and nobody can harm us for that. If, you know, if they had a complaint of, you know, somebody comes to you and says, well, 5 years ago, they forgave my dues, well, that's against the bylaws and we can't do that.
But, well, what what I'm saying on that, because I was talking to somebody about this, and not like I was trying to undermine us or anything like that, but what I was saying was this, there's some things that, to me, are more concerning than maybe to other people, but they're the things that were either okay before, and either way, so now it's like, well, we can't go after it because it was already okay, so it's like, well, if that's the case, then like, how is that fair to the other person who says, well, I wanna bring in a bunch of garbage and build a house out of it? You know what I mean?
What you,
So it's like,
Yeah,
whatever, like
what-
there's used materials that are building
What-
stuff
what
with,
you
you know, or
end up getting-
whatever it is.
what you end up getting is,
Hey, I'm just gonna start a black market of taking old, used, and turn it into antique stuff.
Antique.
Like that
Change
antique
name.
barn
Yeah.
boards and whatnot.
what you
Yeah.
end up getting with that is like, if you get into the topic, and this is how we go with the board in that sense, is if you get into like, and some of it changed my whole topic. You get into like, oh, well, they used to wipe away all the
Right.
late fees, so why can't you do it now? Well, flat saying, it says in the bylaws that was illegal.
Mhm.
I'm just telling you, clearly what they did in the past was illegal, and I'm not doing it now. And by the bylaws, and it's state of the court, it says I can't do it, so I'm not doing it now.
Right.
And that's, the judge would go, okay.
Well, that's what I was trying to say, well, you can still hold somebody accountable to where it doesn't matter. Like, if so-and-so says, yeah, I approved this to come in here, or you to build this, and, or to have this much stuff collected around your yard, whatever, even if they say it's okay, you still have the bylaws, and you're still bound by them, and so it's like, well, I'm not, and that's where I'm like, well, I'm not gonna say I know for sure, cause I'm definitely not an attorney, but I feel like you could have one attorney say, oh, yeah, whatever, and then you could have another one even that says, no, I can win that, you know, and so it's just like, what can you really enforce? So I don't know, and the only thing I was getting at when I said that was like, you're bringing up, do we wanna get an attorney involved and really try to rewrite this? I'm like, I don't know if it's really worth it, like, if you're talking about it like that, because if somebody really wants to get down, like, they could like, get a good attorney and say, well, this hasn't ever been like that before, you know, so I don't know.
And I'm gonna ask, I'm just, for my clarification, what, are you kinda like bringing up the point of property A was allowed by board A to do something against the bylaws?
Sure.
Now that or a new board
Yeah.
going again after property A, or like retroactively to fall within
Or just get it up to
or
speed.
from here further, properties B, C, and whatever will follow.
All of that, like, all of that, that's what I'm saying, it's like, none of that make, like, how do I, like, and I said that at the last meeting, I'm like, how do I even enforce this with all this stuff's happening? But then also, like, not even just enforce it, but it's like, it ain't fair, you know, if I've got a dude that's like right across the street from me, and there's nobody right across the street from me with this kind of issue, but if that dude can do something because he's been doing it for 20 years, but I can't, and he's getting the
Yeah, it's not
benefit of
fair.
that,
It's not right.
it's not right. And so, and then it's like, we're picking and chooses it the same way they picked and choose who had to pay their dues and who
Well, I
didn't,
think,
because
I think if you go after, say like a structure that's not 600 square feet, that was approved by a previous board, you're gonna put a lot of money into that fight, because they've got on their side that, hey, this board signed this architecture.
that
for sure,
And
that's not really what I'd wanna go after,
Well,
but
but
that-
you got some of these where it's like they
That's
built
where
it
the
up.
members though have to.
But
be
if you
able to
don't,
hold
somebody
the
can
board
throw it in
accountable.
your face,
Yeah.
why didn't
Yeah.
you go?
Well, and that's why I would say, well, let's take a poll with the community and say, which do you guys want us to go after first? So it's not us being biased, but it's the neighborhood saying, yeah, I would rather focus on this one right here, it looks like Water World, or this, you know what I mean, something like that, rather than like
And honestly, I think that's why the board, or like why the POA meetings in the past, and I haven't been here that long, but like when I first got here, were so chaotic, because they didn't wanna sit up here and answer to that stuff. So if you've got mass chaos out there, and everybody's screaming and yelling, and getting up and walking out and trying to find people, and then you get the court, hey, we're done here. And that's an easy way out.
Well, on the architectural side of it, we get into like what Casey's example is really the better way to look at it and talk about it. If you get an aspect of, they take a building that is not 600 square feet, if they have the actual documents to show it was approved, no, there's nothing we can do in court, because it was approved. Now, if there's no actual record of it being approved, that's a different scenario, because then you're going on hearsay, which does not hold up in court.
Well, there's two things on that, and that's what I thought too, because me and you had this conversation before, and I was like, well, I was like, I'm just not sure. I feel like I could get an attorney that would be like, well, you're still bound by the bylaws, because that's what it says when you sign your deed, it says that
Yes.
you're bound by them, so it doesn't matter if you get somebody to say, well, it's cool, that'll be like, you know what I mean, and so I'm just not sure, I'm not sure on that, I'm not saying for sure there's no way that could happen.
That'd be the ones that would be the ones that I would look at and go, like you said, if you send them a warning letter, and then they send back, oh, I had this approved, okay, we don't have record of it, could you send it to us, and you just answer that. I will delay this penalty while we have this discussion, but I don't have a record of this being approved. If you can provide me with that record that I can look at and say, okay, yeah, that was approved, then I don't have it on record now, versus, then you get in a scenario, because like I said, if they don't have proof, if they can't provide you a proof it was approved, then even if they hire a lawyer, they don't have any validity. But the other side too is, your bylaws are always changing. That's the thing, and also, part of those bylaws in there, like you said, when you buy your property, you are immediately agreeing to them because they're filed with the restrictions at the courthouse. Because of that, say you're approved for something at one point, if you go down the line in 10 years and your stuff's falling apart, you're still liable. You still have to keep it up to those codes, so if it's degraded, well, now, just because it was approved then, well, now it's degraded, so now it's no longer, this isn't the same issue, so you still gotta fix it. It's just like doing, you do work where you deal with codes for the state, as long as there's nothing wrong with it and it's good, you're grandfathered. But the second you have to change a piece of single wood on it, now you gotta be up to code. Now you're not
I
grandfathered.
think, and that all seems legit too, like, that's all stuff that I would say
Yeah.
too. And the only gray area that I was thinking about too, that was with what we were talking about before, is if we're looking at previous boards and what they approved, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, like, before Appfolio, we had some other computer app that we were doing those forms on for a while, for 4 years or so, and then before that, it was something else, maybe just paper forms, and so.
Before the deck easy, it was paper. I
Yeah,
don't know
so,
anything about
well,
that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, some of this stuff, it's not really easy for me to go in and look at unless it's on the Appfolio thing, which I don't think that they've gone in and taken stuff from those other apps, like the, whatever that's called, or
Yeah.
the paper stuff, and upload that onto there, so it's real hard to find any of that out, and if they actually even just knew that, they could say, well, I did it back then, and then like, how are we gonna be able to, then they've got their attorney on their
From my
side.
understanding, the Duck
Yeah.
Easy, and I don't know anything about it, I've never been shown it, I don't know that
Yeah,
anyone
I
on the
don't
current board does. I know it's in there on that computer of some sort,
Oh,
or
really?
on a drive,
Huh.
and we can still access those records.
That'd be nice.
I don't know anything about it though, And I do know in our little password book, there's, I think, the login info for it.
Okay, I'll check it out, I know where that's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, those were, I didn't really have too much in it, like, I wasn't trying to
No,
No, you're fine.
get crazy with that, it's just kind of like, where do you start, you know?
because we do have, there's just a random section, cause I've looked through some records, and it's like, from the beginning up to a certain point of some files, you'll see architectural control forms, and then there's just nothing in those files for a period. And then we go to Appfolio, and I'm like, okay, cool, Appfolio's here, it's got all our records to this point, that's no problem, but yeah, where is?
It's old, and that's what a lot of them are old, they're like, this has been here for 20 years, is this even supposed to be here? But you made a good point, if it's not been being kept.
Kept, then it's in violation, because it's, and that's what,
I got my license, we did our first architecture control form, and it was, they were using the DAC Easy system, but it was, fill out the paper form, bring it up here to Jodelle, and she would get back with you and tell you if it was approved or not, and how the process went. There, I don't know,
Yeah, I did,
I mean, that's the way it was before, and then I don't know if they logged it in DAC Easy, or if that's just the way they were doing it at the time, or.
2021, I gave mine in paper, my dad did too. So,
We already did the discussion on architecture.
yeah, we already discussed, yeah, we'll bring that up.
New business, old business, or new business? New business? New business, we need to, talk to Don, I know he's talked to these guys about, putting it to the membership, at this meeting, starting to keep it going about if, they need police, fire, ambulance, anywhere in the neighborhood, call them first, but then call these guys, because this situation next door here, I mean, there might have been something they could have done, there, who knows, but if they're not there to see it, and they're willing to do it, but if they're not there to see if there's anything they can do, you're gonna wait 30 minutes till the ambulance gets here,
in that,
45 minutes.
in that same topic, it might be worth put it out on Facebook.
Sure,
But send out an well, no, it's more furthered on that topic is, we can send out an email and check, because I don't know if this is true, but like Mike's sister's a nurse, we've got a lot of nurses in that group. In these scenarios, I don't know if we have a paramedic in the neighborhood.
There's two that are EMTs up here.
Really? Yeah, so I'm like,
I've seen them.
so that's one of those, I mean, I've been first aid certified, I'm not anymore, but, we may have enough people in this neighborhood that we can have a list of contacts too, in that emergency like that. Like I said, if you gotta wait 20-30 minutes, if we can hold someone and go, hey, this is happening, can you get here, they'd be like, Okay.
What could we do to get a class down here to get some emergency responders in the neighborhood to train? I know like first aid CPR, you get pretty much free right from hospital. Can you get something a little more in depth, closer to a first responder, on that same ground?
Yes and no, your training starts getting really expensive.
Yeah,
You start running into liabilities with
Exactly, that's
Training.
just enough that you can identify, okay, yeah, I can do something here and not get in trouble.
general first aid certified, you can get that general certification
Right.
via the Red Cross for free. And that, honestly, I had it for years and just didn't need it for a while, I need to get it again. That generally in a scenario of someone getting hurt, actually it's not perfect, but it's enough to be able to
Yeah.
help someone, because you get into,
It increases something like 35 to 40%.
yeah,
I mean, if that can,
it's quite a,
35 or 40%.
Yeah, people-
Somebody are saying.
The thing is, and that's why I've been harping on the AED machines, because that's what that takes care of, is the CPR.
yeah. Well, no,
Or,
the newer ones do, that's just if it fully stops.
when was the last time you tried to perform CPR for longer than 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah, dude,
Yeah, I mean-
it's fucking grueling.
And that's all, like,
I know people that work out
it's
for a
good that
living.
we get
It's hard.
some of that certifications or whatnot, but, I mean, I ain't gonna be able to get it longer than 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, say you've got an AED centrally located up by the pool,
Yes.
and somebody over here, you can be doing CPR while somebody's running to get that,
stop
to relieve certain breathing, you know.
Could, even just on that same note, like maybe, say something about if there's anybody in the community that can volunteer any kind of expertise, like if they've got a drone and they could fly that around to spot somebody, or a truck that they could pull something out with, you know, if that needed to happen, or any of that kind of stuff. And just see if there's like anything else outside the box besides just first aid that would be relevant to that same kind of topic. Well, no, I just meant at the meeting.
What we just talked about.
Oh.
Just reach it, we just had 5 or 6 people just throw a text out there. Just a group
Yeah,
like we need
if you're here, we need help.
help and just
Mhm.
go.
Kinda like a board group.
Like I said, you can have it as a group and you have a call, cause it falls, what those end up falling to is, cause if, it all plays right off of what Don told Casey is, if a scenario happens, you have to call 911, you've got a serious scenario, if you can call us, they can potentially try to help or make sure the roads are clear to get to, so they can get to you faster, but also, they can reach out to the list of, cause if you call them saying, hey, I got this emergency, it's a given, you're okay with them then calling the people, we have a list that are certified, that can actually truly come help you. Versus, cause that would be, someone's like, well, what if I don't want you, what if I don't want you to be calling people till I'm sick? Well, then don't call me to tell me you need help. Like, if you call me for help, I'm going to call whoever I can that's gonna help you
Yeah,
fast.
I did that training.
So it's kind of a given.
That's one of the first things, you know, you make sure they're okay with helping.
Yeah, it's the first step in all scenarios,
I'm
hey,
here to help you, can I help? you?
unless, if they're passed out, it's automatic.
Yeah, that's automatic.
Otherwise, yeah, hey, do you need help? Is it okay for me to help you? Cause if they say no, well, sorry, I can't touch you.
Something Jack brought up too is push forward people getting house numbers on their properties. Because it's, you know,
Something they don't have to.
where they're driving around looking for.
They're the ones that have the problem. It's not the ones of us that's got it on there, but, you know, it's like that ambulance come up.
Oh.
The first responders come up, and I just have to be standing out there, the guy, man, I'm trying to find somebody who's having a stroke, and I said, I'll bet you some people up down there.
Some of the counties that I work in, the fire marshals will come out and find you if you don't have it on there within like a week of getting your place put out here. Like, I don't know why ours don't enforce that, but I work about a 90-mile radius, and there's a lot of places that, they have to have it, and they'll say it, you know, and they'll be out there, they'll paint it on their trailer and stuff. I've seen them before where they paint it, and that's why they're doing it, it's because that county enforces it. You know, our county's not messing with it, I guess, so.
And I mean, it would just help the situation, if they do it, they do it, if they don't, that's on
Yeah,
somebody
that's,
else to enforce it, but.
do we want to, before we stop, maybe get some excited people in or anything, since we got about 10 minutes before the other meeting starts and we don't have any flags passed out?
The only one that is,
Or we could just
something that can be.
adjourn. Yeah, and we've got that, that's the other thing I was gonna talk about, new business. I'm gonna announce at this meeting, the meeting dates that we have, they're preset for every month, so that way it's just chaos every
Yeah,
month.
we still have to adjourn and post them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to post them, still have to announce them, but,
Mhm.
you know, like, if
Yeah.
we're meeting, that we're meeting and then post it.
Yeah.
Alright, so we all good with all that stuff?
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn. All in favor, all opposed? That is all.